Missing your bench press at the very top of the range of motion is something that's not too common. We don't see too often. But if that's how you miss, again, it's going to be pretty apparent. You're going to get through your chest fine. You're going to get through that middle sticking point fine. And as you get to the top, you're just not going to be able to lock it out. Missing at the top sometimes is strength and technical related. Sometimes it's physiology related. So if you have something going on in your elbows that doesn't allow you to lock out or causes pain to lock out, that's going to be something that's harder to address in the gym through training. Some technical cues to help you if you are truly missing the bench press at the top. One would be to squeeze the bar. Make sure you're continuing to squeeze the bar through the whole range of motion. If you start to get loose in your hands, that looseness is going to carry through from your wrists to your elbows to shoulders. It's going to tell your body that we don't need to be as tight as necessary. So make sure you're squeezing that bar. That will help keep everything tight and finish to lock out. The technical thing I can tell you to help, if you're missing your bench press at the top, make sure you're not thinking about rolling your shoulders forward. A lot of people will get to their sticking point, which may be near the top, and it feels very natural to try and roll the shoulders forward. Don't do that. Keep those shoulders packed and think about pressing the bar away from you. Movements to help if you're missing your bench press at the very top. Accommodating resistance is always going to be at the top of my list. If you're doing heavy bands in the bench press, it's going to strengthen that top range of motion tremendously. So if you were just doing free weight going through a normal bench press, and say your working weight was 300 pounds, well, you're getting 300 pounds of resistance at the bottom and the top. If you throw heavy bands on, you may only be getting 225 pounds of resistance at the bottom, but at the top, now you may be over 350 or 375 pounds. So even though you're not getting as much work on the bottom, you're getting tremendous overload work at the top. So instead of hitting reps with 300 pounds of force resistance, you may be working towards 350, 375. You take those bands off, and now that free weight is going to be much easier at the top. Another great exercise if you're missing at the top would be high pin presses. So you can set the pins in the safety rack that are, say, just the top third or even top quarter of your range of motion. Pressing off those pins is going to be difficult. It's going to be harder than if you had momentum at hitting that same spot. So pressing off those pins is going to force you to teach your body its strongest position at that point. So if you're missing lifts right here and you start doing pin presses either right there or just below them, it's going to train your body where it is strongest, and it's going to have to overcome a static load instead of a dynamic load. And again, this is going to carry over very well to your bench press and strengthen it. The final movement I would suggest for missing a bench press at the top would actually be a soft equipment bench press, which would be a slingshot, a ram, or a bench daddy, whatever your choice is, because similar to the accommodating resistance bench, this is going to create an overload at the top. That soft equipment is going to make your bench press easier from the bottom, and the further you get up, the less it's going to help you, which again is a way of overloading the top range of motion of your bench, which is where you may happen to be weak. Focusing on muscles at the very top, as long as you're keeping a good, crisp, packed shoulders, then it's going to be the triceps. So if you get to the very top and your shoulder is staying packed and you can't finish it, it's going to be almost all tricep. However, I see some people where their elbows are almost locked and they try and finish by rounding the shoulders forward. It's hard to precisely say what is their weak point at that spot. So make sure you're disciplined with your shoulder position and really hammer on your triceps. Hammering on the triceps and using a reverse grip on some of your accessories is going to strengthen that head of the tricep most responsible for finishing the lockout of a bench press.